I don't want to hear no bullshit about how this is a fucking trilby. This is not a trilby. This is a fedora. There is no such hat as a damn trilby. This is a fedora. It's always been a fedora. It always will be a fedora. In fact, any hat that you see me wearing, regardless of what you think about the style of it, is a fedora by its very nature, because every hat that I put upon my brow becomes a fedora instantaneously through magic. So don't give me any of your bullshit. I don't need your nonsense. I don't need your lies. I don't need your aspersions. I don't need your whatever the hell else you got in your little bullshit deck of fucking nonsense, okay? I don't need you. I don't need you, mother... I kind of do, actually. So please, keep watching. First thing I got to say to you today. I was supposed to do this first thing last video, but I ended up doing it last video. So this time I'm going to actually do what I'm supposed to do and pimp this book, The Douchebag Bible. I thought I was out of these, but I actually found a box that had 63 more in it, and I'm selling off those 63. I think there's only 43 now left because I sold... I don't know. Let me do the math. Carry the 1 divided by pi. 20 of them. So, yeah, there's 43 left now. I sold 20 on the strength of my last minute, sales pitch from the last video. And I always thought that bad reviews sell a book better than good reviews. I maintain that as the truth. So I went to Goodreads, and I was surprised that I actually have a decent amount of reviews on Goodreads. I wanted to give you the 1-star reviews, but all of the 1-star leaving people, I guess, are illiterate and incapable of writing a review. But thankfully, some of the 2-star people actually did leave written reviews. And so let's take a look at what they've got to say, because I think it'll be interesting. So Mohammed Al-Barki says, I think I would give higher rating if I read it 10 years ago. Well, you need to go back in time and read it 10 years ago, bro. And apparently this guy's an author. What has he written? Let's find out. Come on. Born in Cairo, lives in Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 blah. What's he written? He wrote... Unde oleo and zumbe dumbeo and 2020 and gumbe lumbeo and jumbe dumbedo and flumbe dubalu and songs Death and Grime. He's written many a book, for he is a smart man, a wise man, a strong man, a sexually attractive man. Let's see what the other 2-star review is. This is from Miles Isham. Let's be honest, this isn't aimed at me. I'm an Englishman in his 60s who thinks that being nice and quiet are the ideals that all humans should strive for. So if you want to be the opposite of a demure, quiet British guy, this is the book for you. I saw the words atheist and Bible and thought I'd get some insight into how the new generation of disbelievers were presenting their case. Well, you're a little late because this is a review from April 30th, 2025. You're a little late for the new atheism movement, but hey, whatever. My bad. There's almost nothing here about the Bible, but lots and lots of stuff about Mr. Kirk's penis and rape. You have to wonder if an endless diet of ultraviolet pornography hasn't ruined these raging young Americans. Shoving things roughly up people's bums makes up about a third of the book and is apparently endlessly amusing. It wasn't amusing the first time. It gets more amusing with each time, though, you have to admit. The parts where he talks about his beliefs is as interesting as hearing anyone's who has actually spent time thinking about it, but it's not enough. Finally, why is it so badly produced? Surely a small child with a word processor could have made a more pleasing and less error-strewn package than this. It isn't aimed at me. It is aimed at you. But, yeah, I feel like that bad review maybe sells the book better than I ever could. Because, like I said, I think bad reviews, like if I'm thinking about reading a book, I always go to the bad reviews and see what the fucking bellyachers had to say, you know? That's my thing, because I want to see who it pissed off, because that's the real litmus test. And apparently my book pisses off Englishmen in their 60s who think that being nice and quiet are the ideals that all humans should strive for. So if you're the opposite of that, if you're an American, because that's the opposite of a Brit, I think, who thinks that being loud and obnoxious is what all human beings should strive for, then this is the book for you. I will also say that I think it's a slight exaggeration to say that 1/3 of the book is comprised of butt stuffing jokes. I mean, it's 1/4 at most. This guy, he's off on some hyperbolic tangent here. It's 1/4 of the book, not a full third. Come on. Give me some credit, sir. But yeah, you can buy that book down below. I also have something else you can buy. I asked last video if anybody was interested in buying my paintings, and I thought that I wouldn't even get a response because I asked it real late in the video, but I actually saw several comments saying that they would buy my paintings. So I've opened a shop on Etsy. I don't have all of the paintings for sale yet, but I have 4 of the paintings for sale as of now. And that link is also down below. You can buy various paintings, various artworks of my creation. I've priced them based upon how much I like them and how difficult it will be to let go of them, and that's pretty much it. So, if you're interested in buying my paintings, you can also click that link down below and go purchase you an interesting little piece for you to put upon your wall and to have, you know, friends and visitors look at it and go, "What the fuck is that?" And that should be fun for you. And you can explain, "Oh, there's this idiot I follow on YouTube. He's kind of an edgelord, and yeah, he sells paintings, and I felt bad for him because, you know, he's such a fucking loser. And he's still wearing a fedora in 2025. Well, actually, it was a trilby, but he insists that it's a fedora, even though it's not. And I felt bad for the guy, and so I decided to buy one of his paintings, and here it is, you know. I know that it's horrible. I know that it sucks. I know that it's a piece of trash. But yet I felt so bad. I felt so bad for his miserable, disgusting ass that I had to buy one of his paintings. You know, I know he probably just used the money on drugs, clearly. But I did buy one, and that's what you say to that person. And then you make out with them, you know, because that's just the next natural thing to do, I think, in that sequence, right? Right. So I wanted to talk about this. I went to go watch the latest episode of my show, Onion Nuggets, over on the Onion Nuggets channel. And I was met with some rather strange stuff. I don't even know how to... Here. What's going on? Why is my mouth being censored? Is my mouth that obscene? I guess maybe it is. I don't know. This censorship of my mouth goes on for quite a while too. You know, you go further in the video. It's censoring practically my whole shoulder range. I'm like Wilson from Home Improvement at this point, just looking over a censor bar. It just keeps going. 20 minutes in. I mean, at some point, it moves over here. I guess it starts censoring merch that we're selling. Here it's gone, but I'm not on the screen. Oh, that's lascivious. That's vile and vulgar. They're showing my lips. Yeah, I don't know. Why am I being censored? Why am I literally... I know I'm fucking not the most attractive person on the face of the earth, but surely... we don't need censorship on this fucking scale. I mean, goddamn. Please. Please. Don't do that to me. I don't deserve that level of censorship, I don't think. Still live in a free country, right? I feel a little bad for myself now. As I should. So I read a story recently, and this story let me know that I should have been a grifter, and furthermore, I should have been a Zionist grifter. I think it's probably too late. The ship has sailed. I've called what Israel is doing in Palestine a genocide about 500 times at this point. But now I'm starting to regret my ways. I'm starting to regret my path in life after I saw this shit. Apparently, Israel is paying certain influencers $7,000 per fucking post. Per post. To whitewash the Gaza genocide. $7,000 a fucking post? What genocide? I don't see any genocide. Man. I should have been a grifter. I should have been a grifter, baby. You know, instead I got to try to make money the honest way, telling you my real opinions to like 15,000 people, tops. You know, trying to sell my dumb paintings, trying to sell my stupid, badly typed, error-ridden, fucking sex-laden book. When all the while I could just make a cool $7,000 every time I suck off Israel, and they'd probably be promoting the shit out of me. You know, and what have I done? What have I done with my life? There ain't no money in fucking your genuine opinion. There ain't no money telling people what they don't want to hear. All the money is in telling people that a genocide ain't a genocide, baby. That's where the real dough is. This hat's already fucking annoying me. Get lost. Why did I have to be so goddamn principled? You know, that's bullshit. I'm not really principled. I'm just so egomaniacal that I refuse to think that anything is more interesting to hear than my stupid opinion on whatever subject crosses my mind, no matter how insipid it might actually be. But that's just me, baby. That's just me. I mean, I don't know what else could I do? I mean, I gotta be me, baby. I gotta be me. But, you know, $7,000 a fucking post. I mean, whew. I could afford a lot of things for me with $7,000 a post. So I think I made the wrong decisions. Oh, well, too late now. The die, as they say, is cast. What else can you do? What else can you do? All right, let's take a look at some stuff I found on Twitter, because we got some interesting Twitter stuff for you. Did I say interesting? Interesting might be a slight exaggeration. Anyway, here's the White House. The White House has tweeted, it says, the Democrat Party wants open borders. Do they? Because last election, you know, I remember Kamala Harris was actually running on kind of beefy borders. She was saying she was going to be tough on the border. I guess that's just those Democrat lies, you know. I mean, weren't the Democrats trying to pass some comprehensive border bill that was actually super stringent, but Trump told the Republicans not to pass it because he wanted to run on the border and he thought he really wouldn't be able to if the Democrats passed some kind of border bill? Oh, well. Transgender for everybody. That's weird because I thought the Democrats just wanted transgender for the people who wanted to be transgender, but here I am being corrected. Here I am learning for the first time that actually what the Democrats want is to turn everybody into a goddamn tranny, you know? That's too far. I mean, I gotta say, even I think that's a little extreme. I think that you should be trans if you want to be trans. I don't think you should have to be trans. That's a little far. Maybe this Democrat Party is more extremist than I was led to believe. Men competing in women's sports. I support that. I'm not even talking about trans women competing in women's sports. I want outright men competing in women's sports. That's fine with me. I think it's time. I think these ladies have had an easy go of it for a little too long now. And we need to get some men up in there to show them how these goddamn sports are played, in my opinion. Crime and lawlessness in our streets. That sounds pretty cool. You know, you talked me out of the Democrats, you're starting to talk me back in. Cashless bail policies over the safety and security of our nation. All right, yeah, you know what? I'm back on board. Sounds pretty cool. I don't even think there should be fucking bail, you know? I mean, just, I'm not like so far as to say abolish jail, but I mean, if you guys saw my take on one of the more recent episodes of this, whatever this show is, let's name this show. Give me suggestions. But on one of these shows, I pretty much laid out my crime policy. I think that for most crimes that aren't like rape crimes and murder crimes or like serious assault crimes, we ought to bring back public humiliation rituals, you know? And what I settled on was the nut shot and the cunt punt. You know, you commit a crime, you get a nut shot on national TV, you know? Everybody gets to watch you get kicked in the fucking nuts real fucking hard. And if it's a more serious crime, you might get more than one. You know, it might be a fucking few nut shots. You know, now that I come to think of it, I think this might actually be some fetish shit for me. So I might be working out some stuff through this. But, you know, whatever. I still think it's a fundamentally good idea. And I think America would like it. I mean, who doesn't like watching somebody get kicked in the fucking balls? You know? And then we don't have to present it fetishistically. Ooh, but you know what? All these fucking people that are into CBT, I talk about it like I'm not... like it's some outside group that I'm not familiar with. They might actually commit more crimes, you know, just to get the... So, I mean, we might need to retool the idea a little bit. But I still think fundamentally solid idea, though, you know? Because, I mean, you know, you lock someone up 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. What are they doing for society at that point? They're just stuffing the coffers of the private prison industry. They're getting a criminal record, you know. They can't get a job afterwards. It's real hard for them. You know, we don't gotta fucking be so goddamn punitive with that shit. I think one good, solid fucking shot in the nuts. Bam! Whoa! Everybody sees them crumple, you know. I think that'd be a sufficient punishment for most fucking non-violent crimes. And certain things just shouldn't even be crimes in the first place. Drugs? What the hell business is it of anybody what drugs I do? Is this not my body? Can I not do with this body what I see fit as long as I ain't hurting you? I mean, whatever happened to the idea like my right to throw punches ends where your face begins, you know? If I want to sit here and throw a punch, or if I want to sit here and fucking inject some heroin into my veins, what fucking sweat is that off your goddamn balls? I don't see what you got to do with it. My body, my choice, bitch. Right? I mean, that's just logic. And furthermore, you know, people go and do drugs anyway. All this punitive measures we've taken against drugs, they ain't stopped people from doing drugs. You really want to stop people from doing drugs? I mean, drugs are fundamentally an escape, right? People do drugs to escape reality. So if you don't want people doing drugs to escape reality, maybe give them a nicer reality to live in and they won't be so tempted. You know, people who ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, can't afford to go on vacation, can't afford shit. What else they gonna do? What's the cheapest fucking way to get your cheap thrill? Get you some drugs, get you some pills, get you some needles, get you some smokables, whatever it is. You know? And then there's certain drugs that we allow, which never made sense to me, you know? You allow someone to get drunk. I tell you this, I've been on acid, I've been on shrooms, I've been on all these drugs that supposedly destroy reality. Oh my God. Where am I? What is this place? What is this realm that I find myself in? But I ain't never had no drug destroy reality quite as much as alcohol. You drink enough booze, you know, you ain't just seeing funny shit. You're just in a fucking you're just in the black void of nothing, just going, I mean, you get way worse. I mean, like being super drunk is way more of a disconnect from reality than being fucking on a super trip, okay? Now, I mean, maybe not. I mean, at a certain point, you take enough hallucinogens, psychedelics, whatever, you're gonna be pretty damn divorced from reality. But what I'm saying is you can get pretty goddamn disconnected from reality on booze that you could buy at the goddamn supermarket. And, you know, I've heard of people getting drunk and beating the shit out of each other, getting drunk and raping, getting drunk and stealing, getting drunk and doing all kind of heinous, horrible shit. I ain't heard of no one doing fucking acid and doing that shit. Who the fuck gets in a fight on acid? Nobody fights on acid. Why would you fight on acid? The person you're fighting is a goddamn three-winged goddamn dragon with eyeballs all over him. I mean, why would you fight that? You ain't fighting that. That's outrageous. That's too far. See what else we got on the twitter.com. So this is a new genre of video. You guys probably seen it. Here, check it out. This is AI-generated slop where a fat woman holds a gigantic fucking boulder over her head on a glass bridge, then falls backwards, and everyone plummets. Whack! Oh, shit. Save her, dog. Save her. Yeah, there you go. It's okay, because the doggy saved her life. You know, and you would think this would be a one-and-done kind of thing. You wouldn't think there'd be a bunch of these. But you'd be wrong. This is a whole-ass motherfucking genre of video now. Look at this shit. Oh no, the bridge is collapsing. Everyone's falling in their horrible, grisly death. Oh shit, it destroyed the entire bridge. Oh man, we gotta stop these fat people with these damn rocks. Oh shit, how does this bitch even hold this? We got real life meta-humans walking around. Take that, old white people. The bridge becomes a slide or something. Something's happening. I don't know what's happening. Pretty scary. All right, Asian chicks are getting into it. Somehow, where she dropped the rock, didn't even crack the bridge, but her falling, her little 98-pound Asian ass falling, somehow created a perfect doorway in the bottom of the glass. Damn. Scary stuff. What's happening here? We missed the beginning. Oh, she just got a hammer. She ain't fucking with the rock. Oh, no! They're bringing back the dog saving the baby trope. Good dog. Wow. Uh-oh, what's this bitch up to? Don't do it, Grandma. Oh, no. Ah, they're all plummeting to their horrible, grisly death. No. Okay. The fact that a video like this exists, I don't find that shocking. The fact that this has become a genre, that there is now a fat, I guess she's not always fat. It's always a woman though. There is a woman throws rock on glass bridge and causes bridge to collapse and everyone to plummet to their horrible grisly deaths, is now an entire genre of content, apparently. You know, I know that there's a lot of signs of the decline of our society that you can point to right now. And a lot of them are very overt. Trump and Hegseth getting up on stage and telling us that we're all, they're declaring war on America, basically. They're going to start rounding up Antifa into death camps, and anybody who criticizes the administration is Antifa. That's a sign of the decline of society. Rampant racism all over social media, no matter where you go. That's probably a sign of the decline of society. But there's also other signs that are I think, even more insidious. And the fact that there is a market, an entire market of people who are like, more boulder shattering glass bridge content, please. I think that's a sign. I think that's a sign of decline. I think that is that bodes ill for our once great society. I would have thought, when Trump said he was going to make America great again, I counted on some overt fascist shit, but I did not count on this. I did not count on the rise of boulder smashes glass bridge content. What do you even call it, man? How is there more than one of these? How is this a thing? What's next? This is, to me, outrageous here. Maybe you won't think it's outrageous, but 20th Century Fox Studios. Sorry, it's not Fox, just 20th Century Studios now. Woohoo, The Simpsons are coming to theaters, an all-new movie, July 23rd, 2027. Homer's coming back for seconds. Oh my God. Simpsons. Die. Just fucking die already. At least tell me. At least fucking tell me that this is the end. At least tell me that this is a wrap. Have you heard what the Simpsons voice cast sounds like these days? Marge now sounds worse than Patty and Selma back in the day. She's like, "Hey, homie, it's me, your wife, Marge." Homer sounds more like Grandpa at this point. "No, I'm Homer Simpson. No." The entire voice cast don't sound right no more. The writing has not been on point for 2 goddamn decades or more. I mean, like, the original Simpsons movie came out basically it was 18 years ago, I think. And by the time that movie came out, The Simpsons already sucked. It was kind of a goddamn miracle that movie didn't just outright suck. Why not end it there? Why not end it in a high note? The movie, if you watch it as the end of The Simpsons, even feels like the end of The Simpsons, and yet it has continued on and on and on and on and on. And why? It's fucking terrible. Go pull up any random compilation of like best of Simpsons clips on YouTube. Every single goddamn one of them is comprised entirely of clips from like the first 10 seasons of the damn show. And now there's 35 fucking seasons. This show could have gone out on top. This show could have gone out with something to say and been fucking legendary. But now, no one's gonna remember the legendary seasons of good Simpsons from 1,000 fucking years ago. People are gonna remember how it just wouldn't fucking end. So please, at least tell me this is the fucking end at long last. Because, I don't watch the show. I haven't watched the show in 20 some odd fucking years. But it's just painful to me to know that bad Simpsons is out there just sucking more and more and more every fucking season. just shitting on the legacy of what could have been remembered as one of the all-time great shows. It's painful to think of. It really is. But hey, I guess as long as somehow they're squeezing a nickel out of the fucking thing, it'll never go away. It'll never die. Speaking of squeezing nickels out of things, I mentioned this on my last video. I want to resume talk about it because I saw that David Cross, one of my all-time favorite comedians, had something to say on the subject of the Riyadh Comedy Festival that is currently taking place in Saudi Arabia. One of the biggest comedy festivals of all time, surely one of the biggest in Saudi Arabian history. I didn't even know that Saudi Arabia knew what stand-up comedy was until this special. But David Cross has shared his opinion, and I like David Cross. I listened to a lot of David Cross material. Love his work on Mr. Show. Love his work on the Bob and David reprise they did on Netflix. Love his stand-up sets and all that. But he has chimed in, and I was hoping maybe he would break from the crowd a little bit, say something that I hadn't heard from others. But no, it's basically the same. My thoughts on the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I have been asked my opinion on the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and rather than answer the same question 23 times, I'll just put this out here. Oh, and I should preface this with the fact that I was not offered the gig, but it should go without saying that there's not enough money for me to help these depraved, awful people put on a fun face on their crimes against humanity. Here goes. What do you think I think? I am disgusted and deeply disappointed in this whole gross thing that people I admire with unarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom for what? A fourth house, a boat, more sneakers. We can never take seriously anything these comedians complain about unless it's complaining that we don't support enough torture and mass execution of journalists and LGBTQT peace activists here in the States, or that we don't terrorize enough Americans by flying planes into our buildings. I mean, that's it. You have a funny bit about how you don't like Yankee Candles or airport lounges. Okay, great. But you're cool with murder and or public caning of women who were raped. And by having the audacity to be raped, we're guilty of engaging in adultery. I don't know why I added words to that, but you get it. Got any bits on that? These are some of my heroes, all caps. Now, look, some of you folks don't stand for anything, so you don't have any credibility to lose, but my God, Dave and Louie and Bill and Jim, clearly you guys don't give a shit about what the rest of us think, but how can any of us take any of you seriously ever again? All of your bitching about cancel culture and freedom of speech and all that shit, done. You don't get to talk about it ever again. By now, we've all seen the contract you had to sign. You're performing for literally the most oppressive regime on earth. They have slaves, for fuck's sake. I don't understand how being rich can make someone such a whore. Poor people desperate to improve their or their families' lives, sure, still not acceptable, but I can understand the desperation to put food on the table. But this? I mean, it's not like this is some commercial for a wireless service or a betting app. This is truly the definition of blood money. You might as well do commercials for Lockheed Martin or Zyklon B. Holy shit, I remember the backlash I got for appearing in Alvin and the Chipmunks. You would have thought that I had taken money from a bunch of people responsible for funding Al-Qaeda. Unless you open your sets with, this is dedicated to all the widows and widowers and kids orphaned by this bloodthirsty, oppressive regime, especially from the zany shenanigans on 9/11. Never forget, motherfuckers. All right, so it's great to be here. I'm going to be killing it tonight, but in a good way. Straight up, no MBS. Then your hypocrisy will never not be noted. David, P.S. For anyone who wants to actually spend their money on something worthwhile, the Human Rights Foundation does amazing work. Learn more and donate here. And then he gives the URL. So here's what I don't get about this bullshit, and maybe, once again, I am totally open to the idea that I just don't get it, that I am just blind to what's really going on here. I can be a stupid, obstinate son of a bitch, and I recognize that about myself, etc., etc. That's about all the caveats you're going to get. You know, I know comedians do USO tours, right? Right? They do. And I've never seen this sort of backlash when a comedian does a USO tour, which is basically, we're going to go perform for the troops, and we're going to get paid by the United States government to go perform for the troops, to raise their spirits, to raise morale. But meanwhile, as we speak, those very troops are being deployed to U.S. cities to apparently go shoot and gaffled up anyone that's labeled Antifa. You know, we live now in a draconian, authoritarian society led by right-wing fascists. I mean, you can still say crypto-fascists if you want, but I don't think it's all that crypto at this goddamn point. You know, they're setting these soldiers against the American people at this point. So shouldn't it be just as controversial to do a USO show at this point? That's all I'm asking. I mean, even prior to what's going on right now, I mean, the United States military being deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, you know, these horrible fucking countries, sure. But then they displace millions, they kill millions. And, you know, in the case of Iraq, on false pretenses. Because Iraq had fuck all to do with 9/11. George W. Bush claimed they had WMDs. They photoshopped evidence. They got Colin Powell out there to sell his soul in front of the UN to justify the war, create a pretext. And millions of lives were destroyed. And that's not even counting all the other heinous shit the United States government has done. I mean, testing biological agents on its own citizens. Hiring Nazis at the end of World War II and whitewashing their records so that they could build rocket ships for NASA and things like this. When they don't like the results of a democratic election, they fund terrorists to go depose the democratically elected leaders of these countries or kill them. And then we install puppet governments that are capitulatory to U.S. interests. And we've been doing this shit for a hot minute. You know, the United States and China and Russia fund these militant groups all throughout the third world. And we basically use them to engage in these proxy wars that cost, you know, tens of thousands, millions, really, of civilian lives. I mean, the United States government is responsible for a number of heinous atrocities, and that's undeniable. So how come it's okay to do a show for this government? How come it's okay to do a show in America in general was my original argument, but okay, I see the difference there. But plenty of people do USO shows funded by the government, an evil government that's done tyrannical things for pretty much the entirety of its existence. How come that's okay? How come no backlash to that? How come Saudi Arabia is this uniquely horrible regime and we're okay? I mean, you could make cases for why Saudi Arabia is worse. I mean, in terms of its regressive politics, I think you got a case. But in terms of the overall impact, I think it's inarguable the United States is worse. Because we have funded more heinous shit because we just simply have more money. Now, if Saudi Arabia was as big and powerful as the United States, then I'm sure they'd be doing way worse shit than us because they are worse on a just fundamental moral level, I guess. But in terms of the stuff we've done as a nation, with our size and our power and our capital, it's no contest. We've had a bigger negative global impact than Saudi Arabia has. And yet, if Bill Burr and folks decided they were going to go on a USO tour, I don't even think there'd be a controversy. Why is that? I don't get it. Explain it to me. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to hear the difference out. Maybe I'm just too anti-American. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. All right, at this point in the show, after I've gotten everybody against me, I feel like now is the perfect time to say, excuse me, that if you want to see me live, I will be performing in New Jersey on November 1st, along with my co-hosts, Paul Zigo and Scotty the Scorpion. Also going to be opened for by musical guest The God Bombs. Goat versus Fish is going to be the MC. It's going to be a huge night. We've already sold 160 tickets for the thing. It's a fairly small venue, so there's not that many tickets left. But if you want to get yours, by the way, this is not just a stage show. This is an all-night party. Because after the stage show concludes, we come down and we mingle with the fans and we sign stuff and we hang out all night long and we get drunk with the fans and we party with the fans. So this is an all-night event. And that's why the price point is where it is, to reflect that reality. Because we're going to be there until at least 2 in the morning. Although I've spoken to the venue and they said, hey, if things are still popping at 2 a.m., we'll let you stay later. So who knows? This might be an all-night fucking party. And I'd hate for you to miss it. If you're anywhere near New Jersey or if you're anywhere where you're willing to travel to New Jersey to see this show, it's going to be on November 1st. So come check it out. Going to be awesome. Hope you guys will be there. Hope you can get your tickets soon because, like I said, we've sold 160. It's a small venue. There's not many more left. Get your tickets now while you still can. Because there's a decent chance this motherfucker is selling out, baby. And if it does, I would hate for you, in particular, not to be in attendance, because you deserve it. And while you're in New Jersey, the greatest state in the union, you can go and do other things in New Jersey. I guess there's probably something to do in New Jersey, right? There has to be. There has to, like statistically. I mean, hey, it's right next to New York. So if you don't like New Jersey, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't love New Jersey, but you can go to New York. See what's going on in the Big Apple, baby. Heard they're electing a socialist soon, so you can check that out, maybe. Not sure when that election takes place, but hey, cool. Anyway, let's get to the big thing I wanted to talk about today. 43 minutes into this bad boy. So I wanted to first give you guys a little update on something I talked about last video. In case you weren't here, there's a little bit of backstory I have to explain. And I don't want to talk about it too much in depth because I talked about it last video, so I don't want to get too in depth here. But you guys might remember a few years back, I appeared on a show called Adam and Sitch. And one of the things that we debated on that show was I had this idea that I was doing at the time, which is basically that there should be a fact-check administration. There should be a government body with a lot of oversight, a lot of transparency, shit ton of checks and balances that could fact-check misinformation. Now, whether you agree with me on that or not is immaterial. Doesn't really matter. But that was my position, and Adam and Sitch pushed back like a motherfucker. They called it the Ministry of Truth. They said it was horrible. But then, when it was looking like Jimmy Kimmel was going to get shit canned, they said, Jimmy Kimmel should be shit canned because he engaged in misinformation. So it seems like they flipped the script. And at the last time I talked about this in the video, I wasn't sure if I was misremembering having that argument, but it has since been confirmed to me that that argument did take place. Adam and Sitch did, in fact, hate my idea, but now it seems they've embraced it. But ironically, now that they've embraced it, I disown it. I'm back to being, And it's not because I think the idea was bad at the time. I just think the time has passed. I think it's too late. I think that we are so balls deep in the post-truth era at this point that a fact-check administration would be like throwing a wadded-up piece of wet tissue at a Bradley tank. It's just not. It's not going to do anything. That the time for that is over. The time for that is past. So anyway, I just want to point out that those guys were wrong. or at least hypocritical. But you know what? I changed my mind. I guess they have the right to change theirs as well. But I'd like to know if I'd like to know the nature of their mind change, I think. Is it just because now the right is in charge, so now they're more comfortable with a fact-check administration? Because that's kind of what it seems like to me. For me, it's not about political party. For me, it's just about how much deeper we are in the post-truth world at this point. Now, granted, the rise of, right-wingers into political power does have something to do with that, but I think really it's the other way around. Anyway, let's take a look at this video I found, and the reason I bring up Adam and Sitch here is because I found this video through Adam's Twitter. He said, this is a great video, and that's pretty much proof to me that it's not. I don't know how much of it we're going to watch. We're probably not going to watch all 27 minutes, 48 seconds of it, but I saw the first, 30 seconds to a minute of it. I thought it looked stupid. And now we're going to take a deeper dive into it to see what's going on here. And let's just see what's happening, because I think it should be interesting. All right, this is when anti-fascism starts to look ... fascist.
Yikes. So I've been watching the fallout from posting my last video about Charlie Kirk, and it has definitely been eye-opening. I feel like what happened in the comment section is a real window into the state of the world right now and what we're living in. Here's what I noticed. When I pointed out that a swell of people on the left laughed at and/or celebrated the murder of a man in an act of terrorism meant to silence free speech, instead of just agreeing with the obvious that that murder was wrong, full stop, most deflected, downplayed, and attacked me. They questioned my intelligence, they told me I was confused, and some even insisted I had to do a both sides thing. Like I had to condemn the right too, or at least admit that Charlie Kirk was a monster. But that's a bold-faced lie. He simply wasn't. But the reality is, most of you are too intellectually lazy to find that out. You see, it's easier to parrot outrage than examine the facts for yourself. You'd rather smear someone murdered in cold blood based on other people's hysteria than hear him in his own words. Tell me,
I heard Charlie Kirk in his own words plenty of times. You can go back through my channel. He wasn't one of my favorite right-wing idiots to make fun of, but he's in the rotation. There was definitely more Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, things like that. But, Charlie Kirk, he got it here and there. So I did listen to his words on quite a few occasions. And, I wasn't impressed with his words. Would I go so far as to call him a monster? No, I think that kind of language is hyperbolic and silly and stupid. I don't even really like when people call, serial killers and shit monsters, because to me, that's just an excuse to kind of like pseudo-speciate because you don't want to admit that a human being could engage in acts so vile. So it's really not really the kind of language I would use typically. I'm not saying I've never engaged in it, because I probably have, because it's just so part of the modern vernacular. But I'm really not a fan of pseudo-speciation where we try to lie about, someone being a monster so that we can dehumanize them, so that we can separate ourselves from their heinous deeds to some greater extent. Oh, well, they're not even human because a human being wouldn't do such things. But a human being would do such things. Human beings have done terrible things throughout human history, and that's just blatantly obvious to anyone who's ever cracked open a history book for a second. Crusades, pogroms, genocides, etc. We've been engaged in all, just war for that matter. We've done all kind of heinous, horrible, evil shit on this planet as human beings. That's just who we are. It's not all we are. It's not the totality of the human picture, but if you try to remove that from the puzzle, I think you're being intellectually dishonest as fuck. And you're also trying to lie to yourself about the kind of things you might do if you were put into a particular situation. As far as celebrating Charlie Kirk's death goes, You know, I don't have a problem with that, because there is an attempt going on right now to lionize Charlie Kirk for nefarious purposes. We have seen proposals to create statues of Charlie Kirk, to put Charlie Kirk on coinage, to hold Charlie Kirk up as some sort of Martin Luther King-esque level of figure, when clearly he was not that in his lifetime. Charlie Kirk really was sort of a B-plus player in the right-wing griftosphere prior to him dying. And after he died in such a public and such a horrible way, there has been this attempt to hold him up as this amazing, glorious, saintly figure. And to me, saying, fuck Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk was a douchebag, is more important in that context than it ever was when he's alive. Because look at all the stuff that's being done in his name at this point. I mean, everything that's happening right now. This idea that there is this disproportionate number of left-wing attacks going on. This idea that the right wing in this country now has a pretext to use any level of violence they want against Charlie Kirk because they, as in the left, killed Charlie Kirk, when in fact it was, as far as we know, one fucking person. One guy killed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was not killed by committee. There was not some giant meeting of the left as an entity whereupon it was decided to kill Charlie Kirk. Even if the entire left was brought in on the scheme, the entire left would have said, no, don't kill Charlie Kirk because you'll make a martyr of him. You will accomplish exactly what has been accomplished. All you will achieve is a revitalized right wing that now is calling for civil war, that now is calling for troops to round up dissidents and use violence against them, sometimes fatal violence against them. So no one on the left who had any sort of intelligence would have ever endorsed this plan. Even if they were brought into the decision-making process, they would have said, no, absolutely not. Do not do that. For simple, pragmatic reasons, do not do that. And yet, the murder of Charlie Kirk is being viewed as something that the entirety of the left endorses. And the evidence that the left endorses the murder of Charlie Kirk is that they were happy he was dead. I'm sorry, but that's not the same thing. It just flat out isn't. Just like when, I think it was Eric, I can't remember if it was Eric Trump or if it was Donald Jr., that posted images mocking Paul Pelosi after he was attacked by some psycho with a hammer. And Trump himself got on stage and insulted Paul Pelosi after he was attacked with a hammer. That wasn't an endorsement of those acts. At least I don't think it was. I think it was just them taking some pleasure in the misfortune of their political enemies. But that's not the same thing as being materially participatory. That's not even the same thing as encouraging. That is simply taking joy in the fact that someone who wanted you dead is dead. Like, what are we supposed to do? And furthermore, there is no correct reaction on the left to the death of Charlie Kirk. Mainstream Democrats across the board released statements condemning the actions of the shooter and saying it was a tragedy and saying that they prayed for Charlie Kirk's family. And you know what the right said? Fuck you. Fuck you. So Being nice about it, that doesn't work. They still say fuck you. Trying to do the respectful disagree, like, I didn't agree with what he had to say, but I still think it's a tragedy. Did that work? No. Those people were still targeted on big right-wing lists of people who dare to insult Charlie Kirk. Even if you were respectful and said, I condemn what happened to him, but he wasn't a very nice man. Those people were still lumped right in to those who were celebrating. And if you celebrate, obviously, they're going to fucking complain about that. So there was no right reaction for the left to have to this. We were painted into a fucking corner on this. But we're not going to sit idly by and let this guy just be uncritically lionized just because it's a fucking tragedy. I don't care how tragic it is. You don't get to just hold Charlie Kirk up as some great example of this great humanitarian and this great human being simply because he died bad. A lot of people died bad throughout history. Good people and bad people. They don't all have equal legacies just because they died in a horrific way. Charlie Kirk does not deserve statues. He does not deserve coinage. And if you think he does, fine. Fight vociferously for that. Do your best to make him a martyr. Do your best to make him an exemplar. Do your best to make him a symbol of your movement. I can't stop you, and I don't want to stop you. But what I'm going to do is push the fuck back against that. Because I don't want him in that position. I don't want you to hold up a guy who said the Civil Rights Act was the biggest mistake America ever made. I don't want that guy to be a fucking hero. And I'm going to say so. And I'm going to fucking make tasteless jokes about his fucking death. Because that's my way of pushing back and saying, no, I don't feel that way. And I don't have to feel that way. And if Charlie Kirk truly stood for freedom of speech, if he truly stood for that, then he should defend my right to say that. Shouldn't he? I mean, he obviously can't because he's fucking dead. But if he was alive, he should defend my right to say it, right? Because that's what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is protecting the ideas that are at the moment unpopular. America's on a right-wing bent right now, but that doesn't mean I have to be. I'm allowed to dissent, and I'm allowed to dissent in any way that I so choose, as long as I don't engage directly in violence, right? Is that not my right and my privilege as an American? It's supposed to be, according to the First Amendment. Now, I know that doesn't mean much these days. Now that dissent is terrorism, apparently. But that's how I feel. And I'm going to keep speaking that fucking truth for as long as I am able. And no one's going to stop me until they stop me.
The difference between that and a lynch mob? I thought we were supposed to be against that kind of behavior.
What is the difference between what and a lynch mob? Let's go back for a little context on that.
For yourself. You'd rather smear someone murdered in cold blood based on other people's hysteria than hear him in his own words. Tell me, what's the difference between that and a lynch mob?
The difference between that and a lynch mob is actually pretty simple. A lynch mob is a mob of people that goes and murders somebody. A group of people making tasteless jokes online is not a lynch mob. Simply isn't. I mean, I can't believe that you're posing this question after calling other people intellectually lazy. I mean, it's outrageous. It's so outrageous, I feel like I just went through a second puberty even fucking saying that. It's outrageous. Like, what are you fucking talking about? What's the difference between a bunch of edgelords online and a lynch mob? Like, are you being fucking serious right now? Is that an honest question? Because an honest answer is, what the fuck kind of crack are you smoking? Give me a fucking break. Holy shit.
I thought we were supposed to be against that kind of behavior. They also called me
who's we? Who's this we that's supposed to? Who are you to tell me what I'm supposed to do? You ain't nobody to me. Are you my friend? Are you my neighbor? Are you even my fucking acquaintance? Don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. You want to tell me not to engage in a lynch mob? I won't engage in a lynch mob. You want to tell me I'm not allowed to make a joke you don't like? Fuck you.
a Nazi and a fascist. Me, a mixed black woman who spent her entire adult life in lesbian social justice activist circles. I was even offered fake sympathy and armchair psychological evaluations. I'm so sorry you've been hurt, but this is no way to deal with your bitterness. Which of course really means you're broken, so your critique doesn't count. Ironic.
I mean, if anyone made that condescending argument to you, okay, fuck them. Fuck them. Sure, I get it. You know, to start at that point, I could see how that's condescending and you would just want to fucking wave the middle finger at that person. But the fact of the matter is, whatever color you are, whatever sexuality you are, whatever your history is, the shit you saying right now is fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. Okay?
Coming from the group that claims feelings as facts and valid enough to inform policy decisions. And some even went...
The group that... Isn't this whole fucking goddamn video about how your butt hurt? That the left made some edgy jokes about Charlie Kirk? This whole video is about goddamn feelings. Because if we're just looking at the fucking facts, the facts are one person shot Charlie Kirk. Some other people reacted to it in an edgy, tasteless way. And your fucking feelings are hurt. That's what's actually happening here, demonstrably, in factual reality. So what are you talking about? Why are you putting the feelings shit back on us? This ain't about feelings. This is about, we don't want to lionize a fucking racist pig fucking piece of shit. That's what this is about. Now, if you do want to lionize a racist pig fucking piece of shit, I can't stop you. Go ahead. Do what you're going to do. But I ain't doing it. And you ain't going to fucking guilt trip my ass into doing it. You want to make a reasonable argument based on facts and data about why the fuck I'm wrong? Go ahead and make that fucking son of a bitch and I'll listen. I'm an open-minded motherfucker. I can be stubborn, I admit. But at the end of the day, if you make a good, solid, grounded in logic fucking argument to me, I will entertain that son of a bitch. But I ain't entertaining this, oh, the left a bunch of snowflakes. Oh, they're being insensitive to me. That's not what a snowflake is. A snowflake is the sensitive one. And on this issue, the left ain't the fucking snowflakes. I'm not saying they never are. Plenty of issues where the left are a bunch of fucking snowflakes for show. But on this one, there's a bunch of right-wing fucking snowflakes. Okay?
Further, making threats, wild assumptions, and veiled warnings. This isn't just random nastiness online. It's
someone making threats, I condemn it. Someone making insinuations like they're gonna do something, I condemn it. I have a feeling, though, that that's like 1% of the motherfucking responses you've got. Okay? I don't feel, and I could be wrong, prove me wrong, show the comments, show the overall tenure of the fucking things if you want, but like, I feel like probably most people said some version of what I'm saying to you right now and did not threaten you and did not insinuate you were going to be harmed or give you some dire warning about the consequences you're going to face. Now, I'm sure some did because there's always some fucking assholes out there. But you know what? That's what this finger's for. You raise that up and you say, fuck you, asshole. I'm going to say what I want to say.
Social control. So here's how it works. If you refuse to repeat the script, you get hit with shame, labels, and intimidation. And if you don't...
Dude, that's a... What are you fucking... You're starting to piss me off with this shit. Because once again, you're describing the exact scenario of the fucking side you're on. They got a script for how you're supposed to feel about Charlie Kirk. And even if you follow it on the left, by the way, they still fucking condemn you. And if you deviate from that script about how you feel about Charlie Kirk, you the bad guy. And you're going to saddle those people with, you're the same as a lynch mob. You dare criticize Charlie Kirk, you might as well have lynched him yourself. And you're going to fucking act like you're on the side that's independently thinking? You're on the side that's letting people say what they need to say? Regardless of how it impacts them or the situation? I don't think so. Doesn't sound like that to me.
Admit you get smeared. It's meant to keep you silent and everyone else in line. God forbid you're openly conservative with religious convictions and values that clash with leftist orthodoxy. Then you're not only wrong, you're dangerous.
So? What? That's politics. That's politics. This has always been how politics has been played in this damn country and probably every other country. The other side are vilified to the nth degree. The other side are demons. The other side are monsters. The other side are this or that. I actually saw this one right-wing person. I can't remember who it was, but they actually likened people who criticized Charlie Kirk to a lynch mob. Can you believe that? That level of hyperbole? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane?
At that point, violence isn't just tolerated, it's excused and encouraged. I mean, with that...
Talk about who's encouraging violence right now. Go find me which side is currently full of motherfuckers calling for a civil war. Go find me which side is currently supporting the president's efforts to send the military into American cities to quell, quote-unquote, anti-fascists, which basically at this point has come to just mean anyone who criticizes the Trump administration or any of its actions. Which side is normalizing institutional violence as we speak right now? It ain't the left.
That logic, we're
I'll give you that
for
clue.
our lives here, right? This is exactly how authoritarian environments operate. Conformity through intimidation. Cancel culture was the...
Who's intimidating who right now? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Projection the video.
polite word for it before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Now we need to call it for what it is. Fascism.
And this is a topic that's always been kind of one of my pet peeves when people talk about our political spectrum and they go, there's the left and there's the right. And
it's not a simple left, right, approach. Look at that shit. I'm not just, I mean, whatever, you know, I've had my typos, but I still like to fucking make fun.
And and you have communists on the left and Nazis on the right, and this kind of polar opposite sides of the political spectrum. And every time I see that, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? This is not the right way to look at it. So I want to kind of go over this, showing the traditional way the political spectrum.
Who the fuck this guy again? Just a history professor. We can't know his name. The political spectrum explained correctly by a history professor. Okay.
It's often described as. So when we generally see it, we have the center, and this is how it's usually depicted. You go a little bit left, Democrats, a little bit right, Republican, further left, liberal, further right, conservative. Of course, these terms also change meanings over the years, right? If you look at 19th century liberalism, nothing to do with what a liberal is today, I think. Maybe not nothing, but very little to do with what liberalism is today. And then you go further left, you get to socialist, and you go far left, and you get to communist. And on the other side, you go far right, and eventually get to Nazis and fascists and all of that. The problem with this, and why I completely dislike this model, is because then you look at this and you go, okay, that means communism and fascism, Nazism on the opposite sides of the political spectrum. The problem is, in reality, they're the same thing, right? Now, of course, there are technical differences between communism and Nazism and fascism. And when I talk about the Bolshevik Revolution, I go through what is communism and Karl Marx and all that stuff. And so I break these ideas down for sure. However, what they share in common is so much more important. What they share in common is they are both authoritarian regimes controlling every aspect of your life. And that's why I don't like this model. And
Okay. So, you got two parents, right? Let's say that your mom is very permissive. She lets you do whatever you want, etc., etc., etc. But, she's not going to let you touch the hot stove. She's not going to let you play in traffic, whatever. She's protective of you, but she's very encouraging of your freedom to self-explore and all that. And you got your dad, who really doesn't give a shit about your safety, doesn't care if you play in traffic, doesn't care if you touch the hot stove, figures you'll learn the lesson on your own. But in terms of how you express yourself, very rigid, very authoritarian. Are those parents the same fucking parent? Well, both are controlling you. Both have rules you got to follow, so they're the same. No, they're not the same. Just because two systems are authoritarian does not mean that those two systems are the same, because what they're authoritarian about also matters. Not only that, but communism, at least in an idealistic way, is supposed to be the most anti-authoritarian system there is, because it's supposed to be self-governing. Now, has that ever actually manifested in reality? Well, no, it hasn't. Could it? I don't know. Maybe. We don't really know that. I'm not technically a communist, so I'm not going to argue for that. But nonetheless, even if you are going to go with this idea of they're both authoritarian, therefore they're both the same, that idea becomes ludicrous the moment you actually start looking at what they are saying, how their economies are structured, what sort of things are prohibited in each system. It's not the same. It matters what the actual prescriptions are. Does it not? Of course it does. How would it not?
Prefer this. Then you have, along the political spectrum, groups that want a little bit more government. So you have your libertarians, then you have what you would call conservatives, then you have Republicans.
So basically, just reduce all of politics to authoritarian or anti-authoritarian. I mean, if you actually read any communist literature, communism should be over there by anarchy. Now, in practice, I see what you mean because, yeah, history is what it is. But if you're just looking at the prescriptions and descriptions of how these systems are supposed to theoretically work, then communism should be way over next to anarchy.
You want a little bit more government than conservatives.
But also, this is just a stupid way. I mean, like, just reducing all politics to the level of government structure size of government is absurd because there are so many other qualitative differences that exist within political paradigms.
The Democrats want a little bit more. Socialists want a bunch
Whatever.
more.
I'm sick of this guy.
Once said that trying
What's
to
he?
define
What's she got to
fascism
say?
is like trying to nail.
Hold on,
Libertarian man.
get back to
Ian
her.
Kershaw once said that trying to define fascism is like trying to nail jelly to a wall. At this point, the word has drifted so much, it's become a catch-all insult for anyone who won't echo far-left orthodoxy. But what?
No, it has not. I hate this fucking argument. This is the stupidest fucking argument. No one looks at some centrist pussy and calls them a fascist. Now, what we might say on the left is that the centrist pussy is more likely to side with fascism than they are with leftism of any stripe. And the reasons for that are clear, because we live in a staunchly capitalist system. And so liberals, neoliberals, and the like are way more likely to side with an extremist ideology that preserves the system of capital than they are to side with an extremist ideology that seeks to dismantle the systems of capital. And if you're on the left and you believe in something like worker-owned co-ops, or you believe that we should live under a planned economy, or you believe any of these radical ideas that essentially destroy the idea that the means of production should be held in the hands of a few oligarchs, then people left, right, and center will oppose you, but that doesn't make them fascists. Not everyone who opposes the socializing of the means of production is necessarily a fascist, and anybody who says that is a fucking idiot who should not be taken seriously. However, the case can be made that when push comes to shove, those people would rather fascists than they would leftists, socialists, communists, whatever. That is the argument to be made. But this idea that just anybody who just deviates from leftist orthodoxy, which what the fuck even is that, by the way? Anybody who deviates from leftist orthodoxy is just instantly a fascist. That's ridiculous. That's absurd nonsense that has no bearing on fucking reality whatsoever. Shall we go on?
What do people actually mean when they say it? Most are trying to invoke the far-right nationalism of Mussolini or the rule of Hitler and the Nazi Party. And that's fair, that was the mask in the 1930s and 40s. But as the professor in the clip points out, the old left-right line we use to think about these concepts is a misleading map. It parks
No, that guy was a fucking moron. I don't buy into what he said at all for the exact reasons I already laid out. So, let's see. Does she make any new arguments?
Fascism is a method of rule, authoritarian in style, totalitarian in scope. Authoritarian in the sense that power is concentrated. Other viewpoints are branded as hostile or dangerous, and dissent is punished.
By that definition, Trump is a fucking fascist. How is he not? By the definition you just laid the fuck out, Trump is a fascist. All dissent is framed as violent rhetoric. All dissent is framed as Antifa. And all Antifa is now designated a terrorist organization, and Trump is sending the U.S. military into cities to quell any sort of dissent against his regime, of which he is the strong man. He is the sole symbol of their movement. These are all the hallmarks of fucking fascism, bitch. What are you fucking talking about?
Totalitarian in the sense that control spreads into everything: media, education, culture, language, even private beliefs, all in the service of an official ideology. By method, it does a few core things.
I can't I can't with this anymore. I mean, like, I cannot take you projecting the attributes of you and the Charlie Kirk worshiping right-wing slobbering mob. I cannot take you constantly projecting what you and that group are doing onto the left. The left does not have any institutional power in this country. Maybe some center-left pussy milquetoast liberals once upon a time had some cultural sway. But that is eroding fast. As far as the actual left goes, when the fuck do you ever see left-wing messaging in mainstream American politics, in mainstream American media? You have got to go to the fucking fringes to find that stuff. So I reject the premise of this video. I reject the arguments of this video. It's actually more insipid than I imagined it would be. What a hideous mess. And now, just to give myself a little bit of a palate cleanser, let's watch something real stupid. Let's just watch a video about what fucking fast food you would choose if you were faced with a choice between this or that. Because I think we need it after what I just saw. Here we go.
Pick your dish.
Pizza. Burger can be versatile, but pizza is more versatile. You can do anything with a pizza. You can have any flavor profile you want. I'm going to speed this up because I don't need this much time to figure out what I'm getting. Playback speed 2 times. Let's do it. Pasta. Love sushi. Steak. Lobster is good, but a lot of times, you know, lobster's got grit to it. You got to have top tier shit, whereas a cheap steak is still good. I always prefer a burrito to a taco because it's bigger and it's more phallic. Dude, I'm all about the pancakes. I don't know what it is with waffles. I don't like them little syrup traps. I'm not a huge syrup guy. Fried chicken or barbecue ribs. Fried chicken all day because ribs are delicious, but they're messy, and I don't like messy food. Ice cream or cake. I'm all about ice cream. As long as it's real ice cream and not gelato or some crap like that. Hot dogs or nachos. A hot dog made right will kick the shit out of nachos any day. There's a lot of shitty hot dogs out there, though. French fries or onion. I don't even like onion rings that much. French fries all day. Chocolate. I'm not a vanilla hater, but chocolate is just better, fundamentally. Bacon or eggs? Eggs kind of give me gas. Give me gas. So bacon. But less bacon's meat. Donuts or a croissant? I'm an American, goddammit. I ain't no French fucking piece of shit. Give me a donut.
Dish number 13.
Popcorn or pretzels? 2 bland-ass snack foods. I guess I'll give the slight edge to popcorn. Fried rice or noodles? Noodles can be good, but I'm all about the fried rice. Fried rice is always good, as long as it's not undercooked. Caesar salad or Greek salad? I love a Caesar salad. Simple.
Eat your fruits.
Fruit? I refuse to even answer this. Especially because bananas and me, you know, we have a history. Ooh, okay, I'll answer this one because I like these. But pineapple all day. It gives me heartburn, but it's worth it. Grilled cheese or BLT? Oh my god, grilled cheese. Dude, I love a BLT. Don't put no fucking... I don't know why there's...
Dish number 19. Choose one.
Oh shit, okay, quesadilla. Wait, quesadillos? Whatever. I'll do nachos, actually. Chicken wings or... Oh, mozzarella sticks, bro. Mozzarella sticks is one of my top 10 favorite foods of all time. It's up there.
Yum.
Especially if you get that good cheese pull. Brownies or cookies? I'm a cookie guy, but I'll eat a brownie. Don't ask me about no brookies.
Your drinks.
I like my desserts simple. Milkshake. Who the fuck's taking a smoothie over a milkshake? You're not a fucking true red-blooded American at that point. Clam chowder or lobster bisque? Clam chowder. Although bisque is good. I ain't seen anything I'd turn down. Guacamole or salsa? Depends on my mood, but usually salsa is going to be preferable to the guac.
How do you like them eggs?
Not a huge fan of eggs because they give me gas, like I said, but scrambled eggs over an omelet.
Dish number 26.
Mashed potatoes over sweet potatoes all fucking day. Sweet potatoes are a scam. They're not even fucking sweet. They're a little sweet, but it's not sweet enough to make it worth it. Caesar. That's not even what I think of when I think of a Cobb salad, but Caesar. Not a big fan of tiramisu. I know that's kind of weird, but cheesecake I love, so cheesecake. Bagel or English muffin? Bagel, dude. Way more hearty. You gotta eat 20 English muffins to get the fullness of one bagel.
Last dish. Make a good choice.
Cinnamon roll or Danish pastry? Cinnamon roll. Although I don't know why that one didn't have any glaze on it.
Take another one.
No, I ain't taking another one. I already took one. I don't need to take another. All right, last thing I'm going to say to you guys before I go, if anyone's still watching, because I know that last segment was kind of like, who gives a shit? But if anyone's still watching, I was talking to that guy that runs that debate channel, Modern Day Debate, right? And he's always trying to give me a debate. I mean, not always. He's not like a pest about it, but like he's quite a few times over the years asked me to be part of this debate or that debate. And I always say no, because I'm just not big into the debate thing. I don't like debates. I feel like they're a waste of time. I feel like they're inherently bad faith because no one's really looking to change their mind. People are just looking to flex how much smarter they are than somebody else. And I don't need that to gratify my ego. But I did tell him there's one debate that I would do. There's one debate that is my dream debate that I would make an exception to my I don't do debates rule to participate in. And I told him, if you could get me, Jordan Peterson, so that Jordan Peterson and I could debate nihilism, I would be willing to engage in that debate. And I told him, like, I know that's a long shot. I know that Jordan Peterson is a fucking weight class above and all this. So, he was like, I mean, that's pretty rough to do. He told me, though, something interesting. He told me that word on the street is that Jordan Peterson, if you want to get him in an engagement, he will he charges you $100,000. So if you want to stage a debate or a discussion with Jordan Peterson, he will charge you $100,000 fucking dollars for that shit. So I have a counter offer for Jordan Peterson, and I'd like all of you guys to help me make this counter offer to Jordan Peterson. What I would like to do is I would like to debate Jordan Peterson on the topic of nihilism and pay him exactly $0 to do so. And if you want to see that happen, let him know that you're hungry for it by writing to media@jordanbpeterson.com. That is his email, media@jordanbpeterson.com. Let him know that you would love to watch him debate the topic of nihilism with Into the Fray, a.k.a. The Amazing Atheist. And that would be something that you would enjoy the fuck out of. And let's see if we can make it happen. Right. Okay. So hopefully you guys are still watching right now. If you're not, you didn't see me pitch that, but maybe I'll pitch it again in the near future, maybe more towards the beginning of a video. Once again, if you want to buy my book, if you want to buy my paintings, if you want to buy whatever the hell else is on sale down there, check the links down below. Appreciate it very kindly. Thank you guys for watching. Love you all. Good fucking bye.